Okay, yeah, I figured we might be rolling with that, so feel free.
Welcome everybody to the next episode of the Tribeswell Podcast, and we are here with Kevin Schmidt with one T.
With one T, D and a T, yeah.
The Royal DT.
The Royal DT.
From TEDx.
Indiana University.
At IU.
Oh yeah.
So tell me about your position in TEDx.
So I am the marketing director of TEDx IU, or TEDx Indiana University. As you can see from all the fancy things that I've put out in front of you, we have business cards.
This is a printed business card?
With all the fancy stuff on here. We got some cool logos, got some cool posters, things like that. If you're on campus, you're watching this, you've probably seen us plaster this all over the place. But
I'm gonna put a sticker on.
Oh yeah,
So match here.
We got plenty for everybody. And what I do is I basically handle, obviously, marketing, but in my team I have 10 people under me, 10 other students where they're split up into two teams. One is creative content, where they help put together all this branding and make and brainstorm on how it's going to look, how it's going to feel. And then the public content team is a series of people who handle social media, the ground game and marketing. We do tabling on campus and really just get the word out. We're kind of the face, I guess, of TEDx Indiana University. As good of a face as this can be.
Awesome.
I don't know, but yeah, it's a lot of cool stuff.
So the big part of what you do is of course, the live event, which is a TEDx event.
Yes.
And can you describe what that's like?
It's awesome to start off with. So if anyone here is familiar with TED Talks, or if you're familiar with TED Talks, they are 15-minute videos where they kind of talk about, some speakers will come and talk about technology, entertainment, and design. And they're generally people who are the best in their field, and they're giving a cool, interesting talk about that. And the conference itself, we have one a year. Last year was our first year. We sold 95% of our tickets at the IU auditorium. And it's 8 speakers we had last year. We have 7 this year. And 8 speakers last year, where they would basically talk one after the other and then have an intermission and then have 4 more. And you kind of, afterwards, you can meet the speakers and talk with them and see where their heads are at in their talks. And another cool thing too is, like most times, at least when I watch a TED Talk, I'll watch one or watch it with a friend, and they're so information dense that you kind of just have to sit back for a little bit and process it and think about it. But for an event like this, it's just one after the other. You have an entire 7 to 8 speakers to think about and to process. It's kind of I've been telling people when they walk by, like, if you're on Facebook or things and you see this thing like mind blown and some random video that's kind of cool, your mind is literally blown after these conferences. Like, there is so much information that you have to process.
What is the background of most of the speakers that you guys bring in?
A lot of them, since it's Indiana University, we've had teachers. So last year we had a few teachers. We have a few faculty this year. And then some of them are like internationally recognized for what they do. So one of the people this year that I'm interested in, really excited for actually, is, her name's Yuna Lee, and she is a reporter for Current TV, and she actually got captured by North Korea in the early 90s or mid 90s, and she was released by the Clinton administration. And she's actually going to be talking about what it was like being captured and the people that she met. So there's people like that, as well as one guy's the president of the Population Institute, which is an international organization, and he'll be talking about how essentially there's too many people on the earth and we have limited resources. And his name's Bob Walker, and he'll be talking about a lot of cool things like that. So those are some examples.
Awesome. Yeah, I always thought it would be so cool to get into speaking at that level.
Yeah.
Starting this podcast, one of my big goals that I was really focused on for the podcast was to work on my interviewing skills, my speaking skills. I figured if I had to listen to myself talk for 15 or 20 minutes every single week, that I would be forced to get better at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
To develop more presence and more ability to speak in front of an audience. The TED speakers of the official TED event and the TEDx events that I've seen online it's just amazing, especially when you talk about this the lady from North Korea. Like, that's just nuts. Like, to have basically your topic is created for you. When something crazy like that happens, you have to go and do something with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's outstanding.
Yeah.
So how long have you been involved with TEDx?
This is my second year, actually, and it actually is kind of funny how we've been working with Tribeswell, and you guys have been helping us out with the website, because when I joined last year, we had a marketing team of like 3 or 4 people, and we have an internship program that we would have freshmen and people sign up for. I went to a call out and signed up for the freshman program, and I'm a non-traditional student, so I worked outside of school for a few years and came back and am doing some more tech-related things with what I do. But I went to the intern program, and when I went through the interview, they were like, "You're way too qualified to just be an intern. You should just get right into it." And joined the marketing team, and they were like, "You're head of PR, and now you also do," what was my official title? PR and external outreach. So PR is obviously I do with media and stuff like that, and then I also did, I would speak in classrooms. So I would put up a PowerPoint, talk in a classroom of, 100 people or something, just plug the event, be like, "You should come to the event, it's the coolest thing ever, and check out these speakers." And then since then, our director from last year, she graduated, and I took on the mantle. And I also got about 6 or 7 new interns from that program, and now they're on my team, and
that's amazing.
Running pretty good. Yeah.
I'm gonna do my quick paranoid mid-show break.
Sure.
Just have to make sure we're rolling successfully. This is gonna be a little bit dark, but it's gonna look cool because all the cars are going by in the background.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Sunset. It's good mood lighting for sure.
So tell me about you. Where are you from originally?
I'm actually from Northern Illinois. I grew up in the frigid wastes of, if you ever heard of Rockford, Illinois?
Rockford. I've been to Rockford.
Rockford.
You don't talk like you're from Rockford.
It's because I'm from Freeport, actually.
Okay.
So that's a little farther away. They're all right. That's why I left. It's kind of a small town syndrome. But I grew up there, got my associate's degree, and my girlfriend at the time, now wife, moved down here to go to IU, and one of those little love stories. I couldn't stand being away from her, so I moved down here and actually got a job with Bankers Life Insurance. If you know, like, they're on up in Indianapolis, they have the Pacers play in that stadium.
Right.
Got to actually see Larry Bird from one of those.
Awesome.
So like I worked there, so we could go to the games, which is pretty awesome. Being a tall, lanky, you don't see it.
Yeah.
But it's mostly legs from here on out.
You're the only guest I've ever had that's taller than me.
Really?
I'm 6'2". I'm huge.
Oh man.
You're about what, 6'5"?
6'7".
6'7".
Yeah, and
I also have terrible depth perception and estimating skills.
That's all right. Well, you probably also have trouble like finding pants, right? Like
sometimes.
In shoes. Yeah. You definitely hear you there. But then I started going to IU here about two years ago.
And what are you studying?
Informatics. It's one of their newer degrees.
Right.
It's kind of getting a base level of how various technologies work, but on a broad scale. I kind of dip my feet into them, but don't do a deep dive. So.
Right. And what's your focus within informatics?
My focus, I have a minor in business, but then a cognate in music, actually. So IU has the Jacob School of Music and Kelly, and so they're 2 like really big schools inside of them. And I wanted to use a little bit of both, but I didn't want to have them completely take over my life. Mm-hmm. So I chose a little bit of that, and then informatics was the main focus.
Right.
So I like digital audio and doing kind of fun stuff like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I did a little bit of that myself when I was at IU.
Oh yeah? Did you do informatics or?
Well, no, I did a music focus.
Oh, cool.
Went through some of the audio engineering classes, and
Nice.
I don't know. Do you know Jake Belzer? Have you ever had any classes with Jake?
That sounds very familiar.
He's one of the professors. He's been on the podcast before. He's a really good buddy of mine.
Oh,
he
cool.
owns Farm Fresh Studio, or Primary Sound. He changed the name of it. It's not called Farm Fresh. It's called Primary Sound Studios.
Yeah, I was watching your guys' podcast beforehand, so I saw a little bit about that.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
he's a professor at IU. Teaches audio recording.
Cool.
And has been working a lot with the new recording studio they're putting in, which is he's from what I haven't been in there, but he's been describing it to me. Sounds like they're gonna have an amazing recording facility.
Nice.
That's going to be fit to do film scores and just crazy.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah, crazy.
So you could go in there and
mixing and
mastering
and
like Hans Zimmer.
Yeah,
make
exactly.
The huge sounds. Dum, dum,
Exactly.
all that stuff. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, totally.
Very cool.
Totally. So, so you found your way to TEDx. What do you think? As far as the work that Tribeswell's done with you, how do you feel? Obviously, something like TEDx is the web is basically half or more of it because the content is reused over and over and over. How do you feel about strategies for leveraging the web with something like what you guys do?
Because most of our audience last year was students. I think of the 2,600 tickets, 2,000 of them were students, and most of them use social media. So there's a heavy presence on social media and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. I have at least one person on each of those who just handles that and pushes that out. And we definitely link back to the website and we'll also do on the website too, we have a blog every week that we put out. And that's an inward focusing blog where we'll talk about stuff that's going on within our organization. We have, I think, around 30 with the interns this year, we have 40 team members who all do various little things, actually big things. I shouldn't say little. It's all a very big operation that they're doing there. But and that I have them all focus on social media, push that stuff out, and then with the website, we'll put all our new content out there. We have all the information about the speakers, all the background on what the theme actually means for the year.
What's the theme this year?
The theme this year is All Too Human.
What does it mean?
It's kind of intentionally left a little vague as far as so that anyone can ascribe what they want to with it, but also so the speakers in their varying things that they would be talking about can kind of touch their talk on that. But as far as what it actually means in the background, we actually went through a long process of trying to figure out different themes, and we were in my basement, and I used to work at Half Price Books, and I got a huge collection of books, and we were just kind of looking at stuff down there. And are you familiar with Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher? So I have a book, Human, All Too Human. It's one of his books, talks about like existentialism and some interesting stuff about how he actually used to be a friend of Richard Wagner, the composer. Yeah, they had like a split back in the day, and part of that book talks about that. But
they became frenemies after that.
Essentially, yeah.
They were. It
was like, how dare you, Wagner? So it's like early 1800s drama. But also it talks about we decided to take it from that. We just stick with All Too Human, and part of the things that we focus on, or that we like to use for the theme as for the event focus is, as far as where I take it is, we have, as humans, kind of these lizard brain instincts that like fear and really rash emotions that can kind of get in the way of you logically getting through problems and stuff like that. And Nietzsche also talks about in that book about how you kind of have to overcome that if you want to move forward and if humanity wants to progress as a society. So there's like one take on it, but then as far as like technology goes and how some of the speakers will be talking about is how some things may be a very human reaction to a new technology. Like the first time people see virtual reality headsets, if you actually watch them putting that on, they're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're just, their mind is completely, the perception and depth perception of things completely shattered. And so things like that, it's covers a lot of things, but that's the main gist of that.
Yeah, it seems like from what you just said, when we get all these new technologies, the barrier for entry and the barrier for starting and completing a project goes down. But then also everything gets more crowded. So virtual reality to me is really fascinating, because the people right now, the developers, the game designers, the application developers that are getting into Oculus and all the other different headsets and developing for these platforms. I mean, these people are going to make like an absolute shit ton of money. I mean, it's going to be,
totally.
I mean, a lot of them will, not all of them will, but it's literally, you can just see that there's this brand new frontier. Kind of in the same way that that several years ago when Facebook and all the other social platforms came out, you could see that that hey, if I can build applications that are either like this or that link into this. And then you've got Instagram and all these businesses that have just been sold for billions of dollars. It's nuts, but it does take. It's like you were saying. It's that lizard brain. If you don't go out and do it, if you don't go out and start your Instagram, start your app marketplace for Oculus Rift or whatever you should be starting that you're not starting, then you're just gonna be where you started.
Yeah, I think one of those base instincts too is like, I think in some points as a student you could also think about this, like humans can kind of be naturally a little lazy. Like you're in a comfort zone, you just want to not do stuff, right? And you have to overcome that in order to actually get some work done. Like if I could, I'd just be sitting at home eating Cheetos and watching Breaking Bad or something like that. But there's plenty of stuff that I and like other people, like you have to do it. You have to get it up and get that going. So, and as far as like virtual reality is concerned, that's part of why I mentioned that, is because they actually have a class at IU that I'm taking for Intro to Virtual Reality Programming. You can test some of that out. Mm-hmm. And is the first time I put that on, I was like, I don't know what to do.
What kind of program? Because I've never done it before.
Well, it was like they had a HTC Vive that it was. You put on a headset and you have these two little knobs that essentially act as controllers, and they are your hands in this environment. And you take for granted when you're looking at a flat screen that you just see it's even though you're kind of in a 3D environment in there, that it stays flat. And you put that on, and the first thing you notice is, oh my God, there's something to my right, when normally that wasn't there. And then, oh, there's something to my left. Mm-hmm. And you can kind of like move around in that environment. And like one example of the thing that threw me for a loop is I was on like this jetpack that was like flying around in the environment.
Oh my God.
And one of the people who was running it was like, all right, now fly up and just drop, just let go. And I remember my feet were on the ground. I could feel my feet touching the ground. And as I was falling in the game, I could feel the vertigo and my stomach drop. And at the same time, my feet
like
were on the ground.
Freaking me out. Like it's like making my heartbeat just like thinking about doing that. It was
the weirdest dual like thing that I'd ever been with. And like that was like when I first thought that, I was like, that was to be too super cheesy or punny. I was like, that was such a human reaction, like all too human. Boom, right? Like it's been running in my brain, so I have to think about that for the last few weeks. But it's things like that. Like it is the future, right? Like it is the next thing, the next big thing that's out there.
Totally.
Yeah. Sorry, I took it off of a tangent for that.
No, that's why we're here. That's exactly why we're here. To see where the tangents take. So, to take on another, so we were talking before we started, you're a musician as well?
Yeah.
I'm a musician as well. What kind of music do you typically play?
As far as music that I play, it's actually metal, like metalcore, post-hardcore.
What's the band name?
The band name's From Failure's Ashes.
From Failure's Ashes?
Yes. It's also, I guess it's there's a recurring theme in my life of like overcoming your obstacles, like things that happen, you got to move forward. But yeah, that's part of what it is, and like we're actually doing things a little different actually, where a lot of bands you'll get together, you'll play for a while, you'll have some songs, and then you'll record and move forward, right? I joined the band from some mutual friends, and a lot of the songs were already written, and I helped put together a few new songs, and we just started recording. So we're just now finishing like an EP, and then we're going to go out and do stuff. So it's
awesome.
a little backwards.
It's nice to kind of package up to have just kind of almost a brand package up, because when you think of the sound of a band, that's almost as pure of a brand that I can think of. When you have a band like Vampire Weekend comes to mind, where you hear them, it's very distinctive.
Yeah, it's their sound.
They really, really have a sound, like the Shins, or there's a million bands where when you hear them, it's very distinctive. You know who they are right away.
Yeah.
But that's cool to kind of think about it, whereas you're going to put together a few songs that have a sound, and then come out with something that's kind of more fully formed. Yeah,
and also, I mean, depending on some people aren't really for the recording process. Like they love playing, they love doing shows, but then when it comes to the recording process, you have to have everything down, right? It has to be good to go. It has to be ready to be recorded and put out there.
Are you guys recording in a studio?
Actually, it's just putting it together in. We've done some studio work. I was out in Seattle a few months ago, and my wife's sister is a musician out there, and I was helping her move from Seattle to Nashville. And in between that time, she was recording, and she's like, if you have stuff you want to record, she gave me some studio time. So I put some stuff in there. And then the rest of it has actually been actually there's a local band around here, Blue Rising, who plays like hard rock. They're like Coheed and Cambria, but heavier.
Okay.
And Luke Neri, their drummer, has helped give us some studio space and practice space. And then smaller bits at my guitarist's house. His name's Robbie Frank, and we'll put it all together as we get it all together. But he has Pro Tools, and we'll put that all through there, and then send it out to get mastered.
Yeah, we actually the band I play with, we're getting ready to release our third record. We've been together for 9 years.
Oh wow,
something like that. Yeah, it's
cool.
Been, and we're on our third record. Maybe not 9, maybe 8 years. 7 or 8
round up to 9.
Yeah, nice round number.
I'm not keeping the
divisible
track.
by 3.
Yeah, that's fine.
A perfect square. But yes, we have our third album is getting ready to come out. All 3 of them we've recorded at Primary Sound Studios, formerly Farm Fresh Studios.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
And so, kind of our last one, I was explaining to Kevin before we started that our band, we kind of, we're all having kids, we're all busy, we all have houses that, spring water leaks, which maybe that's just my house that springs the water leak. So we all have a lot going on. So it's taken a while to get our most recent record finished, so long that I've got 12 songs for a new record.
Oh, really? Just been writing and recording?
Just in the can, yeah, just ready to go.
Oh, man.
But I think for this next one, I think I'm going to do more like what you're talking about, more of a hybrid approach.
Yeah.
Spending a lot more time recording at home on my own. Just kind of go a little more experimental and
it's definitely an interesting way that we've been doing it. Like I've always done it that first way that I described, and I've been in a few bands before then, and it was just one of those things where like I joined and they were all super talented, and I was just like, I really hope you like me. Like you guys are really, really cool, and really, there's the type of stuff that I've always wanted to play, but I'm like, I can't. It's like fast and crazy and like cool like that. And the way we've been doing it is, it also like it refines it really well, where you record for a while, and by the time that we would actually be going out in places, it's good to go, right? Like doing it that backwards way. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So what do you want to plug before we adjourn here?
Before we adjourn here, well, I guess more specifically for the TED stuff. If you haven't noticed, all the TED things that I've been doing. October 29th is going to be the official thing.
Saturday?
It's a Saturday. It's from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. It'll be in the IU auditorium. Especially for students, it's cheaper than anything else. It's $25 for students, $45 for non-students. And the best part with the student tickets is you can, for students, you can apply it to your Bursar account. So,
great. Mom and Dad pay for it?
Mom and Dad pay for it, and then it's a great experience.
Put it on your student loan, just bundle it in.
Exactly. And Mom and Dad will definitely be cool with, oh, well, you're learning there. And you'll definitely learn. And the stuff that we're doing
They got
here.
YouTube. They know what it's all about.
Yeah, and then also we'll be tabling on campus for the next few weeks. We go out there. I'll be handing stuff out like this. We'll have tickets on sale where you can Venmo us money, and we'll actually give you a physical ticket.
Awesome.
Which is cool. We'll be doing some promotions as things go on, and probably see them on the website that you guys.
Cool. You can buy tickets on the website also?
Yeah, I've got ticket links up on there. Just scroll to the bottom. Goes over a little bit more about what the official thing, what All Too Human
Are all the
actually
speakers
means.
listed on there as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Una and Bob Walker, who I mentioned. There's also another guy, Simon DeDeo. Are you a sci-fi nerd or anything like that, or read sci-fi?
A little.
Isaac Asimov, the guy who wrote I, Robot.
Yeah.
There's a book series he wrote called the Foundation Trilogy that talks about how society can be, in there it's society could be predicted with super math, right? And how society changes. Simon DeDeo actually kind of talks about stuff like that, only with current technology, which is what? It's crazy. So I think that's all I can think of. Check out our website, Facebook,
That's
Twitter,
TEDx.
Instagram.
IU.com?
Yeah, TEDx, IU or Indiana University, they both redirect to the same one. So
cool. And if you want to have two websites that redirect your website, just call me. I'll set that up for you.
He's got
super
that.
Simple.
You guys.
I mean, it's super complicated, but it's simple for me.
No, I get it.
I can do it. Just log in and stuff. Coding.
Hack the world.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And thank you all so much for watching.
Thank you very much, everybody.
This is going to be a very good motivation to get back caught up on my video right now.